What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name's Greg. I hope you guys are staying safe out there amidst these wild times. This you guys might find interesting. Uber and Lyft are facing yet another lawsuit. Basically, this one's about, this is kind of something that's been going on for a long time. 3-4 months ago, I was doing some videos on this before this one happened, about basically the battle between if we're contractors versus employees. It's been most effective, I believe, in like New York and California. And basically, they've been trying to fight for us, saying, hey, like, there's certain things these drivers need. They need sick leave, they need minimum wage, because a lot of times we're out there driving for, $5 an hour, and you're losing money at that point on gas and depreciation. So let's take a look at this article, and there's some really juicy stuff in here. So California's labor commissioner announced Wednesday that her office is suing Uber and Lyft, claiming the companies are stealing wages from drivers by willfully misclassifying them as contractors instead of employees. The suit alleges that Uber and Lyft have failed to pay drivers minimum wage, sick pay, unemployment, and other benefits guaranteed to employees under state law. Now, I did a video kind of similar to this before the lawsuit, obviously, a while back, basically saying how this is actually a tricky situation, because minimum wage, wouldn't necessarily be the best thing for us. And obviously, what that would probably end up being is that then you're only allowed to work a set amount of hours, and $13 an hour to drive your car around as it depreciates and pay gas wouldn't really be worth it. Now, and obviously that's not minimum wage, but I think that's like roughly what they would do for us. So it's dicey, but let's just see what else they say. So AB 5, and that's the gig economy law. They created stricter requirements for companies seeking to designate workers as independent contractors. California's agency that oversees ride-hailing companies ruled that drivers are employees under the law, but the companies have refused to reclassify drivers, and the issue is now at the center of multiple lawsuits. I think why it's really heavy right now is because they saw that a lot of us really got screwed over when PUA first came out. When PUA first came out, there were so many of us that applied instantly, did it the correct way, and nothing happened. Now, eventually they made a thing for gig economy workers, and most of us did get money for that. But still, Uber and Lyft just are always trying to kind of wipe their slate clean whenever something like this happens, because they don't want to be the ones paying us. But that's where I do agree that I think they should be the ones paying us. So let's go on. The heated legal battle between California and ride-hail giants Uber and Lyft ratcheted up another notch this week, with the state's labor commissioner announcing that she plans to take the companies to court over the classification of drivers. She said in a press release Wednesday that they're going to file a lawsuit against the companies, arguing that they are committing wage theft by willfully misclassifying drivers as independent contractors instead of employees. And that's the part where then I do agree, because an employee is someone, I think they categorize it as necessary for business. Sorry, the dog just ran out, making sure he doesn't go buck wild out here. And we're definitely necessary for their business. They cannot do business without drivers. Unless they develop fully autonomous vehicles, they need us. And obviously we've known for a while they're going to be pushing for that fully autonomous vehicles, but that's definitely not going to happen anytime soon because of how much money they're losing out on. All right. So in a letter to Uber and Lyft drivers alerting them to the lawsuit, their office said that it's seeking to force the companies to reclassify drivers as employees and reimburse them for wages and other benefits that they would be entitled to as employees under state law. Obviously, that would be awesome. That list includes a wide variety of payments that Uber and Lyft have historically not paid to drivers, such as minimum wages based on time drivers spent using the app. Now, there's a little bit of a plot hole, because obviously so many of us could sit in an area where we know we're not going to get rides, and then just be like, oh, we spent all this time and didn't make money. So I don't know how they would do that. That would probably have to be something they would change on the app to somehow make sure that we're not doing that. But I can't imagine that would be too hard to figure out for them, because if they see, I mean, they track us. If they see that we're just sitting in a spot, that's probably, you'd probably get flagged. Your account would get flagged or something. Also including overtime, sick pay, and business expenses. Now, those three things I do and don't agree with, because if we're willingly choose to work overtime, I think that's like, again, if it's our choice and we're choosing to work overtime, hey, I'd be all about that extra money, but I don't see how that's fair to the company. But sick pay and business expenses, I definitely agree with. The vast majority of California drivers want to work independently, and we've already made significant changes to our app to ensure that remains the case under the state law. That's what an Uber spokesperson said. Adding that the company hasn't been served with the lawsuit yet and therefore hasn't been able to review its specific claims. Well, we'll see if that happens. A Lyft spokesperson told Business Insider the state labor agency has botched thousands of claims. They know they don't have the ability to process these claims, so they sent them into a legal abyss where they know it will take years to resolve them. That's probably true. It probably would, realistically. California's landmark gig work law AB5, which went into effect this year, raised the bar companies must clear in order to consider workers as contractors, spurring a major battle between regulators and Uber and Lyft over whether drivers meet that bar. California's Public Utilities Commission, the agency responsible for overseeing ride-hail companies, dealt a significant blow to the companies earlier this year when it ruled in June that drivers are considered employees under AB5. In May, a group of attorneys general from the state in LA, San Francisco, and San Diego also sued Uber and Lyft over the same issue. Nothing they're not used to. They get sued all the time. Uber and Lyft have previously argued that AB5 doesn't apply to them and have aggressively defended their classification of drivers by claiming that drivers prefer to work as contractors. And that I would say I do agree with. I know I would prefer to work as a contractor. I don't want set hours. Like, the beauty for me was always being able to do it when I want. So that's what's dicey about this issue, is we really are employees. But it's weird because we get the freedom to essentially work for them in, however we want, whatever hours, how many hours, no boss. But then we end up getting robbed of things that are really important for how much work we actually do for them. And again, we keep them afloat. Like, they only exist because of us. Unlike their employee counterparts, contractors aren't guaranteed certain benefits like healthcare, paid sick leave, and Uber and Lyft aren't bound by certain labor regulations around minimum wage payments or required payroll taxes for those workers, which feed into programs like unemployment insurance. Drivers advocacy group Rideshare Drivers United, which has been rounding up driver wage theft accusations, claim that Uber and Lyft owe more than $1.3 billion in payments to drivers in California. Now, this is the cool part, is if you're in California, and eventually this will probably be most states, you can tap into that money. The debate over what wages and benefits gig economy companies should be on the look for versus workers or taxpayers has intensified in recent months as more states and cities start cracking down on companies like Uber and Lyft. Massachusetts filed a similar lawsuit last month, while New York City imposed the country's first minimum wage for ride-hail drivers, and Seattle has sought to do the same. So that's everything that the article has to say. It's like I've said a few times in this video already, it's an interesting topic, because it's not a win-win. It's not that we get treated like employees and we get to do everything we love about the app, the freedom, I really personally wouldn't want minimum wage, because if you know how to drive well, you know how to make more than minimum wage, and that's just a process of learning and growing on the app. But at the same time, there's so many times where we definitely are getting robbed of things. And this, and the last, I would say, 5 months have proved that over and over and over again, that we got nailed because of this. And one of the hardest things was, I got so many emails from you guys telling me about your situations and just asking for advice on what to do. And I just didn't know what to tell a lot of y'all, because I didn't know what to do. It's like, okay, well, we're not qualifying for PUA initially. And if you go out and drive, you make $3 an hour, you know? And it was just nuts. So my hope is that they can come to some kind of common ground where we still get our freedoms, but we're not getting robbed of some of those things. I see the most unnecessary part of that as minimum wage, because to me, that's what being an entrepreneur is all about. You have good weeks, you have bad weeks, you have good days, you have bad days. That's the risk you take, you know? So I would be down to not lobby for minimum wage, but get things like sick pay, get some kind of assurance so that if things like this happen again in the world, we don't have to all freak out wondering what we're gonna do. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the retroactive referral program is back up. That is a really, really great way to just get some money in your account. It takes less than 5 minutes to fill out. And basically what that is if you didn't use a referral code when you signed up, you can still use our code, links in the description. And all the steps will be in the description as well. And as long as you did whatever the bonus requirement rides were for that month, you're still going to get paid out for it. Now that's really awesome, because a lot of you sign up to drive for Uber and you didn't use a referral code. I didn't when I signed up. So that's what's like the beautiful thing about the retroactive referral code is you can still get credit for those rides and make some money. And if you did it, it's literally just like a few $100+ in your bank account. It depends on your market and where you're at. And then obviously if you're a new driver, you can definitely use it. So check that out. Like I said, guys, it takes 5 minutes. Like there's no reason to not give it a shot. So stay safe out there, guys, and I will talk to you guys soon.